Welcome to the channel. My name is Oblivion. On today's Fae Report, we have our first guest. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hello, Summoners. My name is Joel, and I cannot believe I'm on this channel. Oblivion, you have been blowing me away with your content lately. It has been so good, from the Fae Report to the, what was the last one was on Power Creep, right? And what was the history of Aether Raids? I love those. I look forward to those every time they pop up. And all the other stuff you're doing. You've really been killing it lately.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Joel. That means so much. Honestly, I love your videos too. Like, I always watch every one of your videos, and I love the quality of your videos. Your presentation always looks so good, and I've been just trying to catch up to that.
Well, I love to play with different things. So that's yeah, the greatest thing I found was that Sprites website that has all of the different backgrounds on it, so that I can actually make the Fae backgrounds come to life on the videos. That tickles me.
Oh yeah, I love those backgrounds. Those look amazing. So today's topic for the Fae Report, we are going to discuss Summoner Duels from SDS to Summoner Duels Ranked, and we'll even be covering some fun topics like, why does everyone hate this game mode? And we'll be talking about how horrible I did this week.
Oh, Summoners, since I started this mode, I have been chasing Oblivion. Like, no kidding. Every time he's like 20, 30 places above me or something, and this week I sat down and I was like, no, it's not going to happen. He's not going to beat me this time again.
That's right. We actually have the #1 ranked Summoner Duels player in the world on the podcast. Massive congratulations to Joel for that one. That's right. I only have the best guest on this podcast. Oh, and also I want to give a massive congratulations to hitting 2K subs on the channel.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that did just happen. Oh man, we have a video. That's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait for you to see that.
That sounds like a lot of fun. When it came to Summoner Duels Ranked, I logged in and I see Joel like 13 matches ahead of me, and I'm like, crap, I gotta catch up. So I start playing, and then every time I go to check the score again, he's just like up another 3 matches and another 3 matches, and I'm like, holy crap, I just can't keep up with this guy.
Oh man, I got on a streak and I rode that sucker. It was nice. And then I looked down and 6 hours had passed, so I'm also very tired.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you mean. That first or second week I played, like, I just played so many matches. I think I woke up like on Sunday at like 10 and I was playing until like 8 p.m. It was insane. I just kept going and going and going because I just wanted to, keep winning.
I love someone called it a sweaty armpit mode, and I just feel like that perfectly encompasses what this is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. After every single time I'm done playing Summoner Duels Ranked, I have to take a shower. Like, it's so bad.
Oh, I told you, and I was not kidding. Like, after I got done, I went and soaked in like an Epsom salt bath.
Yeah, this game mode is just absolutely insane. Like, it's the tiniest mistake will make you lose the match. And so there's just so much to think about in those like 30-second gap you have to think. And then just so many things to consider and so much planning necessary.
It is by far the hardest content that Fae has to offer right now.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, Aether Raids can't even compare anymore. Like, maybe early Aether Raids, like that first year, but lately it's been extremely easy. So I kind of miss that like crazy tense feeling, and Summoner Duels Ranked does kind of give that.
Yeah, they also, no Aether Raids map has ever gotten me as tilted as some of these matches.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, some of these maps are like super tilting. But if I know I made a mistake, it will just drive me nuts and I can't stop thinking about it.
And then IS has graced us with the ability to go back and watch it over again. Like, oh God, that's what I did wrong.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll go back and watch all my replays and I'll just be staring there trying to figure out what I did wrong or like what I overlooked, and it will just drive me insane. But that is like a good way to learn, kind of, right? So at least there's that. So let's jump into the main topic a little bit. The first thing I really want to talk about is team building, because it's such a complex subject. So I'd love to hear about your rank 1 team and how you put it together.
All right. So team building, you have just like opened up a can of worms there. That is something so near and dear to my heart right now, because I've been trying to explain to people how to do this. And I mean, the biggest thing is your team is very map dependent. And you look at this last map, and the thing that's unique about this is the choke points. And the key is your team has to control the other team's choke point. And if you do, you win, period. And so that's the whole thing about my team, was trying to do that. And the tricky part was it looked like a lame duck conga line. Like everything would be set up for a conga line, and really that was just a ruse to get everybody set up. And then at the last minute, I would warp my Idunn over and control the choke point and block off whatever they had. So suddenly it switches from this conga line to a warp strategy, which was really fun, and it's hard to surprise players, and I think that really did, which was to my benefit in this case.
Yeah, your team was insane. I was watching. I saw one of your replays. I can't remember where it was. I think it was on Acris's stream, and I saw that play where Idunn just teleported right up into the middle of the map. I was like, "Holy crap, that was so smart!" Like I did not see that one coming.
Oh my God. And we sat down in the Discord and talked about that forever. And the one who finally gave me that idea was Maury. And he's more of like a player who likes to stay back and sit. And I saw him use guidance, and I was like, wait a second. I can use this for my own evil designs.
I didn't even think about guidance. I was using ground orders. Guidance is very smart.
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic for that map in particular, because it's so hard to get around those stupid water patches. Oh
yeah, totally. For me, like I was trying to play into the Flash of Steel meta. I don't know. I think I overestimated it a bit. And you did such a good job of taking advantage of the buffs and also the legendary buffs. I think that's something people just do not know about. And it gives so much more bulk and stats to units that you can't underestimate, I guess is the best way to put it.
It's huge, and true to form, IS has done such a poor job explaining this.
True.
We get so many people on the server, and they're like, okay, I've got everybody water blessed, so that now I know they'll get the extra HP, and I'm like, ugh, no, that wasn't necessary. If you look in the notes in this specific place in this one corner, then it tells you that that's not necessary. But yeah. And the other thing is, everyone seems to think that mythics give blessings, give HP and stats as well, and they don't. So it's hard to figure out. There's a lot of things about this mode that are very hard to figure out.
Right. I was completely confused about it. The legendary buffing and also the pair up, right? The pair up stats. Like I didn't take advantage of that the first week at all, and that's a massive stat and boost you can get.
I constantly forget about those, and I have a friend, John, who is like, he is meticulous in his keeping of the stats like that. But he runs a lot of legendary Ellawood teams, and so he'll specifically use those in different units to get exactly the attack he needs on every one of the units down the line. It is very impressive to me, but I constantly forget about that pair-up thing.
That's so smart. I never even thought about using legendary buffs to match attack stats. That's amazing. Oh, wow. That is the thing I love about this game mode that I think people don't give enough credit for, is that there are so many small mechanics and so many ways to optimize your team just perfectly to enact your strategy. Like, it's so cool. I love it.
It really is. They've put so much time and work into this mode, and in a lot of ways it shows. In a lot of ways, I'm not sure the rollout was ideal. So
yeah,
I hope people stick with it though. The other thing I can't not mention when you talk about my team is the amazingness of Legendary Dimitri, who I did not expect him to be so good with Vital Astra. And I mean, I've made videos, plural, on the subject, but he still just absolutely surprises people when folks like Ninja Korin can't kill him.
I love Dimitri, don't get me wrong, but when Legendary Dimitri came out, I was honestly like kind of sad because I felt like Atrocity was not great. I felt like Atrocity was okay, it's a B slot, but it has a whole bunch of smokes built into it and true damage. And I was like, oh, why are they doing this to Dimitri? But now, all of a sudden, with Vital Astra and that atrocity with the smoke, it's just so amazing in Summoner Duels. It's so powerful. And I think part of that is because you get the extra C slot, right? Getting that times pulse so you can actually have Vital Astra charged is such a big deal. And I just don't know how it all came together so well.
So and this is completely by accident. So I was running Legendary Azura with Sudden Panic. And what I didn't fully take into account until I was actually in matches was that the Panic and the Legendary Dimitri debuffs stack.
Oh, wait, what? Oh, wait, right. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we saw it with Aversa all the time.
Right,
It's just you don't think about it in terms of Legendary Dimitri. I mean, so what you would do if you hit someone at the very end of their turn, then they had already done their action. Those debuffs are through the next action, and so they would start off the next turn with -11 to all stats.
Oh, that's so smart. Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, and then you're also stacking stats with the Rallying Cry captain skill. So you are like getting a massive stat swing in your advantage.
Yeah, that's a 17-point stat swing in some cases. It was nuts.
And then, oh my gosh, and then with Duo Dagger too. Duo Dagger's weapon just like even is, I didn't think about that. Oh my gosh, that is scary. Wow. Oh, no wonder you got into rank 1. Jeez, that is an amazing team. There was more than I even thought about. I looked at it and I was like, okay, I figured this out. But obviously I did not.
I'm telling you, you inspired me. I couldn't let you beat me again.
Oh my gosh, I didn't have much time this week. I was like trying to sit there. I'm like, okay, I need to do Summoner Duels. I'm sitting there editing, and I'm like, I'm gonna stay up all night to study. I studied. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go with Yuri. It's gonna be fine. And then Yuri kind of just baited me. I feel like he gave me that confidence that I didn't need to do well, and then he just failed me so much. Like he missed so many kills, and it was just like game losing sometimes. You know what I mean?
The thing that people don't talk about with Yuri, though, is that he really does require merges and extra stats and skill inheritance. You can't just use Yuri right out of the box. And a lot of the high-end players talk about him like he is the best player ever. And new players will grab him at merge +0 and wonder why they're not doing as well. And Yuri needs all the stats in order to function. Well, and lethality.
I think that was one of my big problems was that I was trying to put Yuri in for Atri because that's what I usually use there. And the problem was that I didn't adjust my dancer because what I did is I put Flashing Blade in a seal and it made him considerably weaker because usually I'd have Raphael there to charge him up. But I was trying to make sure that I didn't get the lethality on that first hit into the Hardy Fighter so that I could actually, kill the Hardy Fighter save unit. But without that extra stats in his slot, he was just missing kills by 2 or 3, and it was crippling. It was so bad.
Oh yeah. Anytime I saw a Yuri without Blade Session in the seal, I knew that I had won the game. It's that big of a swing.
It really is. Like honestly, I'm gonna have replays going while we're talking. You're gonna get a chance to see Yuri just fail to kill things, and it's the worst feeling ever.
Yeah, it's very defeating for sure, and that unit cannot take a hit. Oof.
Oh no, yeah, that actually brings up a very good, interesting point I wanted to bring up. So I've noticed that you have Ascended Idunn, right, and you have Brave Hector. And on Ascended Idunn and Brave Hector, a lot of people are running Distant Defense 4 instead of a Distant Counter slot, right? And I think that's actually correct for Ascended Idunn. But for Hector, I actually think it's incorrect just because he gets the guaranteed follow-up, right, in his weapon if they attack, as long as they don't have no follow-up, obviously. And I think that actually is so powerful, and people underestimate it.
But the component you're missing there is how many Duo Daggers are you going to see?
That's
because
true.
The thing about Distant Defense 4 is that Duo Dagger can no longer kill that unit, period.
That would have saved me one loss for sure. But also would have made me lose a different match because I had this one match. I'll have it playing right now while we're talking. And it was an insane match, but I misplayed so hard. I lost Yuri and Brave Alm immediately. So
Oh.
essentially my team is now Harmonic Azura, Duo Dagger, and Brave Hector. And on their team, I had killed 2 of their units, and they had Duo Chrom, Harmonic Sonya, and Harmonic Azura as well. And it's only because Brave Hector had Ostian counter equipped that I was able to win that match. And it was because they couldn't get through him in one hit. So he got the double hit back and he took him out. So it's an interesting trade for sure. And it's definitely something you have to think about. But that is a good point about Duo Dagger, because she is obviously one of the most premier units in this mode. She might be the best unit in the mode, honestly. She just is an amazing support that allows for so many strategies.
Yeah. The thing that I love about your Hector and the way I see you use him is how you put him in places to be offensive. And I think that is amazing. Like that is using all parts of the buffalo right there. You know what I mean?
I mean, I've just always used Brave Hector for so long now, I guess. Even before he was good, when he was like OG Brave Hector and everybody laughed at him because Legendary Tiki had more BST. I was already using him. So I'm just really comfortable with the unit. And so him becoming good was just like a godsend to me, because I was like, okay, now I can actually bully people with this unit and actually get the full use of him.
Okay. Like right now, and no bias based on how much you like the character.
Okay, I'll try.
If you could pick a +10 Idunn or a +10 Hector, who would perform better in Summoner Duels?
Oh man, that's so difficult. It has to be Idunn. I mean, I love Hector. Hector's amazing, and Hector does have the advantage of the guaranteed follow-up in his weapon. I think that is something you can't undersell. And I think the one mistake I had, so if you go back and watch my analysis on Ascended Idunn when she got released, I was like, oh, this is cool. She's Brave Hector. What I didn't consider, so what I considered the most was I was thinking about the auto follow-up, and then I was considering that she's a dragon, so that she's not going to be weak to like wind sweep and stuff. But I didn't consider the 20 BST difference between the 2 units. It's a big difference. Like, it's a massive difference, and I just didn't consider it at all.
And the free Ascended stats. Like, that's really nice.
It's definitely nice if you are like a lower investment, right? So for like me, where Brave Hector's +10, I already put Ascended Floret, so it's not that big of a deal. But for a lower investment, it's massive. It's super massive.
So I have to say, like +10 of both, honest to God, I think it's really close. And I think that is insane that Brave Hector is still that good. That a Gen 6 armor, we have to have a conversation about which one is better. That is nutty, and I love that. I absolutely love that.
Oh yeah, I'm so glad with the CYL refines, like with Brave Olm and Hector and Brave Ike. I've just loved them so much. They've been so much of my core teams. And the funny thing is that really, even Brave Ike, I didn't intentionally +10. Those were all accidental +10s. And so it just, it feels really good to have units that you accidentally +10 are amazing now.
Yeah, Brave Hector is an interesting unit just in general, and I don't know if you remember way back on my analysis of Idunn, but I just flat out said that she was better than Hector, and I got raked over the coals. Like I didn't realize what a Brave Hector represents the free-to-play option. I mean, he really does. And if you insult everyone's free-to-play option, they are going to come after your head. So, hey, I learned my lesson. Don't insult Brave Hector ever.
It's true, though, because I mean, like, Brave Hector was one of the first, CYL units, and then he also has just been on every banner, literally ever, since he's released. Like, he's been on Hero Fest, he's been on free ticket banners. Like, it's just insane how easy it is to merge this unit up.
Even now, I've wondered if I need to just set orbs aside, and the next time he's on a 3-person banner, that's what I need to summon on.
Oh, I wonder if that's worth it. I originally, when I got Ascended Idunn, I summoned for her because I wanted the Floret, because I am a whale and I need every Floret possible. But honestly, she has been a great investment just because of like Summoner Duels S, and so having another Brave Hector to just put on a different team has been phenomenal.
Yeah, especially for Summoner Duel. Yeah, that's having multiple Hardy Fighter units is just amazing, and it is It is a luxury that most people can't afford. And I got to tell you, like, in our Discord, they make fun of me so much because I have been so lucky with Fjorm just shows up for me.
Me too.
I was talking about Idunn, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to summon for her because I don't have Hardy Fighter. And I went off and like 5 minutes later free summoned a Fjorm and was like, well, guys, I guess I'm summoning for Idunn.
I'm in the same boat. I just randomly pull her, and I don't know why, but I'm extremely grateful.
Yes. And I think that is a huge mistake by IS in not putting that skill on more units because it is so pivotal in Summoner Duels. And I actually like the availability of most things, but that is something that needs to at least have been on codes. Like it's an important skill.
I definitely expect them to sell it to us again. They're gonna put it on another unit that people want, and they're gonna sell it real hard, or they're gonna put it on a banner on a unit nobody wants, and then put all the good units around that unit. And hey, look, now you have to pull that unit because you want Hardy Fighter.
Oh man, it'll be like a picnic banner.
Speaking of Hardy Fighter, I was playing a match. And I thought for sure I had it. Like, I was like, okay, cool. I have it all planned out. I'm like, I'm going to do this and this and this. And then I'm going to snipe their Hardy Fire unit. And then I'm good. I win. And this person, I think his name was Lux, is a genius. He is so smart.
Yes.
He's used
great.
Hardy Fighter 2 on his Hector. And you know that's amazing?
What is Hardy Fighter 2 do? I don't even know.
Exactly. I didn't know either. It doesn't give as much cooldown to the special initially. So it allowed the Hardy Fighter to not be, or allowed the defensive special not to be fully charged. But then he had Crom there, so he could fully charge it whenever he wanted to. And what that lets you do, is it lets Yuri go in, and if Yuri attacks, he hits it, and then the defensive special comes up perfectly in time to just nullify the lethality.
Oh man,
it caught me with my pants down. I was sitting there, and I'm like, okay, cool, I got this in the bag, I'm good. And he just steamrolled me. And I was just, my head was in my hands. I was just confused. I had to go back and watch the replay to finally understand what happened.
Do you do the thing where, for me, like when something like that happens, I'm checking it from up top, I'm checking it from the side, I'm putting it down, I'm checking again up top, up side. Like somehow it's going to be different. Like this is obviously a glitch in the game.
I do that, and then the worst part is that I will go on Discord and I'll be like, I think there's something wrong here, guys, and everybody will start to type up their response. I see 30 responses being typed on Discord. And I look and I realize what it is, and I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I'm not dumb, I swear. Like, I realized it. Oh my
now,
gosh.
have you seen Miracle Lucina?
No, I have not seen Miracle Lucina.
Okay, so the thing, and this can be done, like I put out a video on Miracle Fjorm, but the thing with Lucina is, since she shares a game with Sonya, the harmonic Sonya.
Yeah.
You can charge up her Miracle with Hardy Fighter and Sonya and then Crom.
That never even like touched my head. Wow, that's really cool. Oh my.
That wrecked me. I could not. Yeah. That was the game. Like I only lost 2 matches, and that one I was tilted. Like just, oh my God. They destroyed me. And I mean, I think they had maybe 4 or 5 merges on their whole team. And I'm sitting here with like 42. I got demolished. It was embarrassing. I'll actually have that video on the highlight reel when I finally put it together. So you guys can watch me just I'll probably get tilted just watching it again.
I'll definitely put all my losses in my video as well. So when you guys are watching this or listening to this podcast, you can listen to that too, or you can watch it as well. It's bad. Like I get I'm pretty good at not getting tilted, but if I don't understand why I lost, then I get tilted.
The thing that gets me the most tilted is when I see what I should have done just a second too late.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God. That kills
definitely
me.
happened. Oh my gosh. I lost so many matches this weekend just to like stupid things. I have no idea. I think it was like partially just playing terrible, but then also like, I think I just didn't keep up with what I needed to do, like the changes in the meta. And it's kind of crazy that Summoner Duels meta can evolve so quickly, right? The mode's only been out since December, and I feel like the meta's just constantly taking like shifts and little shifts, not even like massive shifts, just small shifts that you have to like kind of pay attention to.
Okay, this is an interesting conversation that I've been having with a lot of people. And the question is, what are the fundamentals of this game mode? Because if you look traditionally at the way we approach game modes in Fe, we look at units. And this is not so much like that. Like, even if you look at archetypes, it's not quite the way you should be looking at it. You should be developing openers, but what are the fundamentals to those openers? And it's kind of mind-boggling just to take a step back. I mean, yeah, what would you consider a fundamental of Summoner Duels?
Yeah, that's a very good way to put it. It's very much about how you open the game, right? Like if you don't open the game correctly, you're gonna lose immediately. That's the first thing. But I think the fundamental thing about the game mode is understanding objectives, I guess. Like it's different than in like Ether Raids, where Ether Raids it's much more about, okay, here's my strategy, this is how I'm going to enact it. It's more about understanding like these are the units that need to die, and these are the units that need to kill those units, and what units can I trade, and it's about positioning as well, like understanding how you can position in such a way that you can make a play in like 2 turns or something like that, or how the opponent can do that. It's a lot about understanding like all the options, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. Like my brain just kind of auto does it, but like it's so very different than anything else that is in Fire Emblem Heroes for sure.
I mean, just in the fact that it is like trading units.
Right.
That is huge. Like that is a huge sea change from anything else we've looked at.
Yeah, actually that is, I think I was talking that a little bit about my Power Creep video, how the Fire Emblem Heroes kind of like conditions you to never want to lose units. It's like almost like old school Fire Emblem, where like you had the permadeath and you're like, I can't let anyone die because then they're gone forever. they kind of somehow got that into Fire Emblem Heroes. And so like we've been conditioned to be like, never lose a unit. If you lose a unit, you're losing score, right? You lose a unit in the arena run's done. You lose a unit in Ether Raids, you're losing score. Like pretty much every game mode except for maybe like, story modes or something like that. But with Summoner Duels Ranked, it's completely different. It's all about understanding the value of the unit and what they need to do in that map.
And that goes back to why it's so amazing the way you use Hector. And that's every unit is expendable. And that means that every unit has to be able to contribute in a major way. And you've got a unit that does many things in the fact that they take on damage, but that they can also dish it out. And just the way you approach that, I think, is really, really neat.
Thank you. I think that's another fundamental thing people don't catch on too much. Like they know that far save is good, but they don't understand why far save is good.
Yes.
That's like one of the major things I see people make mistakes with. They're always afraid to lose their far save unit, and it's not so much about losing your far save unit. It's about positioning your far save unit so you can make aggressive trades. And then when your far save unit dies, you're protecting the units you need to use to make future trades.
And that is exactly right. Like my savior unit is there to ensure that you don't interrupt my opener.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Like that's the whole thing. I've got to get everyone set up, and they are buying me time. And that's the big thing. If it just so happens that you can't kill that unit in one hit, then awesome, great for me. But I have to be ready for that unit to be taken out, because it doesn't matter what savior unit you have. They can be killed in one round.
Oh, absolutely. That's definitely something that I think that's one of the problems I had this season, was that I was so used to Hector not dying to things that I kind of over-relied on him to live. And with Flash of Steel, that definitely isn't always the case. Like sometimes he just explodes. So that is definitely a good point. So I do want to talk about team building a little bit more. So we do have like the core of the team. I feel like a far save unit is just absolutely necessary. what other things do you think are necessary for a team to hit those high ranks in Summoner Duels?
Oh man, see, I'm gonna go a different direction. I don't think a savior unit is necessary.
Really?
I think the necessities in your teams are first and foremost the units that help you move further.
Okay, that's absolutely correct.
And that's your Ash or anyone that helps you warp. I've kind of classified them as that's the warping strategies. Your Pathfinder, that's Duo Dagger, Note Dagger. And then the last one is positionals. And they normally come more into play when you're doing like your raid boss type things. But still, any unit that helps you get your units across the map, I think that is the core of what your team is. And from there, you need someone who deals a ton of damage. And for me, I like two of them. And the more different they are, the better. Like ranged versus melee and that kind of thing. Magic versus physical.
Exactly. No, yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. You have, for me, I think it's like you have the far save unit who isn't, it's not so much just because you need the far save unit. You need a unit that can allow you to aggressively position, right? Because the game is so much about controlling the block area and positioning in such ways to be able to take advantage of that and snipe enemy units.
I've labeled them the punching bag. You need a punching bag, and you're 100% right on that. Like, you need a unit that can take a hit. And that's like in one, I'm thinking of the, what was the map with the 4 breakable blocks in the middle?
Right. I don't know what
like,
it's called.
I didn't run a savior unit on that.
Okay.
I did have Ash, and that's when I started using Shield Pulse Ash. And so she would sit there in the middle, and no one could take her out in one hit because, Flash of Steel wasn't going in. but anyway, and so you could sit her there, and from there she could deliver the other units around the corners, and you could attack. But you didn't necessarily need a savior unit. The other great example, is obviously raid bosses. And it's been drilled into me by several people in the Discord who just go nuts on me whenever I talk about Pala and how she's just okay. And she's one of the few units that you don't need a savior for either. Like, you're building around her, you're sending her out there, and you're hoping her Vantage will save her.
Right, that's true. Vantage strategies definitely don't necessarily need a save unit. Though I do find with Sheeta, I like a save unit just because it makes it so that it's so difficult to deal with her. It allows her to really get in deep into your team, and then once she procs that Vantage, it's very difficult to deal with her after that.
I've run exactly one team without a savior, so I don't misunderstand me. Like, right. I'm with you. Saviors, yeah. I like them a lot. But I don't think you need them.
Yeah, I think there are definitely strategies that can not use saviors and do well. I saw what was it? It was a Vantage team with Sheeta, but I'm not sure who else was on it. And they essentially were just like throwing Sheeta in your face pretty quickly. And you really didn't need a savior unit. You just needed other units to. You needed your mobility unit, and then you needed threats in the back so that they could come up and like kind of follow Sheeta up and destroy some things.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely that's definitely true. That's definitely interesting. So I think if we broke it up to like the punching bag and the mobility, what do you think IS is going to do with that? Do you think they've even recognized that themselves? Because I don't know how good their analysis is, or like how well they deliberately make things, and how often they just accidentally make a broken unit. But do you think that they're going to implement more mobility supports, I guess is the way I'd put it, into the game?
I think they will because they sell.
True.
Yeah. I think that particular category, it is very known what they're doing. Like, I think of Sonya. Like, that unit, even though she doesn't exactly enhance the team's mobility, the mobility that she gets is just ridiculous. They knew what they were doing there, and I think they knew what they were doing with Duo Dagger. So what I will say to folks though, if you like 90% of the units, you don't have to summon on in order to play this game mode. You can make a lot of your units work for this, but the exceptions are those mobility units. Like, those are the ones that you want to spend your orbs on.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's definitely the thing that people need to understand when it comes to Summoner Duels is that you don't need every premier powerful unit. What you need is the supports. That's like exactly where you should be spending your orbs because the supports are going to be able to go into multiple teams. So even if your new fancy God Sword Ike doesn't work out, at least you have the core mechanics of a team that you can use later on with some other units.
So that is an area where they seem like they're really experimenting to me, and that's I'm basing this a lot on August and his release. But the whole thing of how can we support these units differently, and I mean August isn't a great unit, but man, he's interesting.
Yeah, I'm glad that they did that just because it's a new design, and anytime I see them do something new, I'm happy. Because a lot of times they staple on all the best effects onto a unit and then call it done.
Did you see the Spring Myrrh build with August?
Yes, I did. That was horrifying.
Oh my God. That one was tough.
I think that's a good example though of like making use of what you have, right? Like that Spring Myrrh, obviously she's a good unit, but like making the most out of her with August. Or like I had a video put out with Legendary Fae, and it was a Fae emblem team. It was Legendary Fae, Normal Fae, and Christmas Fae. And this guy stomped me.
Yes.
And it was all about just being creative and using what you had. And even though you do need some meta parts, obviously, like there are ways to make teams powerful because of the ton of variables that are in this game mode, like the maps, like the captain skills, and the builds, obviously.
I am in love with the captain skills. I think that was such a good mechanic on their part.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it's genius because it gives that one variable you really need to differentiate teams and also to address maybe a unit's like weakness or give them a new strength.
So this goes back to something you were saying though, and this is I mean, this is the pluses and minuses, right? One of the amazing things about this mode is that the meta changes with every map. And that's also one of the bad things about this mode. Like you didn't have as much time on this map to look at it. And I mean, I spent literally a week and a half creating that strategy. And this is a mode where that time means something. If the same was said about Aether Raids, then we would both probably end up doing about the same.
That is very interesting, right? Because with Aether Raids, pretty much, like, I guess in the beginning of Aether Raids it was a bit different, but now it's become such a point where like you know what the maps are, you know how they're going to interact, you know how your team works on that map. But with Summoner Duels, it's like constantly changing. And even if we get to the point where we've played every map in Summoner Duels ranked, even then the addition of new like units and abilities, I think keeps it kind of fresh because there are now new options available for your opponent to use against you or for you to use as well.
So, and here's the part. Now, I may be jumping ahead of you a bit, but do you think this mode is too intense for the gacha community that is Fae?
That is a very good question. I think this kind of goes into like the why is it hated. So I guess we'll just put all this together. And I think it's absolutely too intense. Like the thing is for me who loves this kind of intense gameplay, I live for competition. Like that is what I love about Fae much more than normal Fire Emblems, right? Normal Fire Emblem is like a single player fun strategy game. With Fire Emblem Heroes, I'm buckled in, I'm ready to go, full out to get those high ranks. And I think a lot of people just do not feel the same way, right? They play Fire Emblem Heroes and they're just trying to have a good fun time. They're trying to collect their favorite units, maybe build them up with some cool skills. They're not trying to spend 3 or 4 hours watching VODs, studying people's techniques, seeing how they do every single opening and what builds they're using. Like most people
in a
aren't
language
like
that you don't actually understand.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I definitely think that's the part of it, right? Like, and I think that's part of the reason why we need more like of a casual challenging game mode, right? I don't want to get into that topic because that's a completely different topic, but I do think that is part of the reason why Summoner Duels is hated so much at the moment.
So I look at the rollout of Summoner Duels S versus Summoner Duels R, and I think they did such a better job with Summoner Duels S. Like, You can't go all the way up the ladder. You don't have to play an insane amount of games.
Right.
We even started off giving you all these rewards. That was so much more chill than SDR. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I love how intense SDR is, but I hear better reviews from Summoner Duels S than Summoner Duels R.
Yeah, I think they kind of did that backwards. I think they would have been better reception if they did Summoner Duels S and then R, just that people could have been like, oh, this is kind of fun. Like, there's multiple teams. It's not as, scary. And then Summoner Duel Rank came out, and the people could just be like, okay, that's not for me. But I'm enjoying Summoner Duels and Summoner Duels S. That's fun. You know what I mean? But, like, I think Summoner Duels Rank came out, and it just scared half the population off because they were just like, I don't want to deal with this.
Oh, it's intimidating. I mean, even just go into Summoner Duels regular. Like, you start up a game and you're going to get an all plus 10 team. they're coming at you. Like, it is intense even there.
Oh yeah, that happened to me. I was trying to do a practice match before I started Summoner Duels Ranked, and it was just plus 10 every single unit. And I'm just like, okay, well, this is going to be interesting.
So that brings, I really feel like they should have ordered this differently. And I'm telling you, like, I feel it in my bones. There is a co-op mode coming. And if they would have done co-op first, I feel like people could have gotten their feet wet with Summoner Duels much, much better.
Oh man, co-op would be amazing. I've dreamt of a co-op mode for a very, very long time. Like, I think that would be something that would just bring the community together so well. I kind of had hoped that Summoner Duels did that to an extent, especially when it first came out and we had like Vargas's tournament and stuff. And I was like, wow, everyone's really excited. Everybody's in this Twitch chat cheering for people. Like, this is really cool. And I feel like it just went sour so quickly after that.
It's so intense, and the learning curve is steep. It is. That's the biggest thing. Like, to me, the learning curve is so tough. I mean, so you and I are hardcore. Like, there's no denying that.
Right.
And we're having a hard time grasping this game mode, and we're willing to put in hours upon hours upon hours. What is the casual gamer going to feel like looking at this,
Yeah, I think that's why so many people, like, I get comments so often like, I just don't want to play this game mode. I'm not going to interact with it at all. I don't even want to try. And it's because it has that extremely steep learning curve. And not only that, I feel like all PvP has this problem in Feh where it kind of pits, player versus player, literally, right? And the problem is when you're in a normal Fire Emblem game and you make a mistake, it feels bad and you want to blame something, but overall it's not that big a deal. But when you make a mistake in Summoner Duels, it feels like the other person is punishing you, right? It feels horrible because it feels like, oh, this person is doing this to me. And I think it's a really easy trap to fall into where you start blaming other people for things happening instead of trying to like look at your own play, obviously. It's easier said than done. But when you look at the enemy player and you see, oh, they have all plus 10s, they're a whale, then it gives that horrible feeling like, oh, I didn't really have a chance at all. This isn't a game mode for me. This is for someone else.
Do you feel like if they would have had an enhanced PvE mode in Summoner Duels that it would have done better?
Oh, absolutely. I have a video coming out on that eventually, but the PvE, PvP discussion is something that just needs to be had, I guess is the best way to put it. I think Intelligent Systems is just... The game has always been PvP-centric, and it became even more PvP-centric with Ether Raids, and now I think they've just gone a little bit too far without giving something to the PvE audience, right? Like, you don't have to not have PvP stuff, but you need to have things for the PvE audience so that they can feel like they're having fun and that they're, accomplishing things as well.
I almost feel like regular Summoner Duels should have been PvE and then had the competitive modes for SDR and SDS. It would have been bad for practice, obviously, but just something to warm up. Because, I mean, you've seen, like, Fire Emblem folks, just something changes and they go nuts. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad. Like, it's a change and like, oh my God.
That's
calm
very
down,
true.
guys, calm down.
Let's
very
see
what
true.
it is first.
They won't
you
even
see,
read
like-
it first. They'll just freak out, and
Yeah.
then they read it afterwards like, oh, it's not that bad.
Every unit that comes out is the most busted thing ever and has completely changed the game for the worse. Like, whoa. Let's take a breath.
Even recently with the Hex, was it Hex Magic Trap or something for Ether Raids? I can't remember what it's called. The people were freaking out angry, and I think like, you know, it took a second for people to realize like, oh, this thing has a 55 HP max threshold. Like that's pretty easy to like ignore. So I think that's like one of the prime examples of people just kind of overreacting a bit before they give themselves a chance to even interact with it, right?
Yeah. I don't know how as a game developer you fix that. Like I think that's just the nature of things. So that's tough.
I don't think there's any perfect way to fix that, right? Like as a developer, that's just something that comes with the territory, which is sad, but it's kind of the effect of the internet, I'd say. Like before, people didn't have the chance to outrage as much. Like you go talk to your friends, but you couldn't go on like a Twitter thread or a Reddit post where everybody's, reconfirming your opinion and making you feel good about being angry.
That's Fire Emblem Reddit. Wow. that is the place to go get angry for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Reddit and like voting gauntlets. Those are the two things that cause super salt in the community.
Oh my God, you cracked me up so much when you were like, and voting gauntlet, that's just to make everybody mad.
It's true though. Like, oh my gosh, people get so angry. Like for me, I have never been attached to a voting gauntlet except for a Hero Rises. I just go for whoever gives me the most feathers. Like I don't care who wins, just give me as much feathers as possible. But other people, man, they get into it. Ooh, they get angry.
Yeah, it is. If you look at participation, it's one of the highest engagement rates of any mode. Like it's nuts.
I mean, that makes sense. Right?
I wish I could remember the numbers though, but it is like voting gauntlet is a favorite.
It's so interesting because for me, it's not a favorite, but I think that's just because I enjoy more hardcore gameplay. But knowing that other people enjoy it, that's really cool. I guess like getting the. I wish it had more of a mechanical aspect to it, but maybe that's just me because I'm always trying to find some way to game the system. But
oh yeah, well I like to play my game.
Right. Oh my gosh, when I was making that power creep video and I always started talking about like, okay, these game modes, guys, I'm not trying to be mean to you, but they're not the best game modes. Please don't flame me in the comment section. I was so afraid like people were just going to be like, how dare you talk bad about Tempest Trial and Forging Bonds. Those are the best game modes ever.
Oh man, I'm not sure the comments you got, but when you said Tempest Trials, I was like, oh God, they're coming for him.
I was like it felt like I was like looking at it like a landmine. I'm like, I'm gonna step on this anyway, knowing it's there. Like I was like, oh gosh, is this a good idea? I'm not so sure.
It's the Indiana Jones scene where you're trying to swap out the idol.
Oh, it's so interesting to see what other people value in the game compared to me, right? Because there's so much stuff actually in the game when you think about it. There's so much different types of content. Like going through the game modes and trying to analyze them all, I noticed how many are so different than the other ones. And I guess it really does help to bring in. Well, I hope it helps to bring in new people that they have different experiences they can interact with.
I am afraid that instead it's just overwhelming. I had a friend recently who just started the game, and it is intense to try to explain to her every little facet. And I have to decide like what do I tell her and what do I not tell her because there's just so much. Like she was having trouble getting through the training modes because she didn't quite understand the movement of the characters. And I mean, once I explained it to her, it was fine. But that's something that should probably be easier to look at. And then there's the whole thing with coins, right? I don't know if you've heard this, but for new players, like that is a huge roadblock. Like coins are hard.
Super premium currency.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, to us, I don't know about you, but I have thousands.
Yeah, definitely. That is super interesting. And I think the other thing is what do they call it? Tactic drills, right? The little like nonsense modes. I felt like that was the place to teach players how to play the game, and it just does not do that at all. It completely fails at that. But I felt like that is the perfect place, right? You could have hey, today's tactics drill, we're learning how to do a rally trap. Like, okay, we're going to teach it to you. Like, you know what I mean? Like something like that, or even more basic things like, hey, this is how you attack a unit. This is how battle works. Like something like, it's just not there. It's just like, hey.
Oh my God, you are so right. What about clock management?
Oh my gosh.
Tactics drills to tell you who goes first on the next turn. I still get this question so much because people just do not understand. Like it is not very intuitive.
No. I remember before Ether Raids, the community was very uninformed on how the game actually worked. And it wasn't until Verve, I believe it was Verve, put out the Mia's AI guide that the community started to learn stuff, and then the information started to get spread around.
But I to that point though, having that kind of tactics drills based around Summoner Duels, I think would be so good. I just to explain how different things work, and it wouldn't be that hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's like if that would be one of the changes I would make immediately. Is just have tactics drills come out and they teach you, okay, this is how basic Ether Raids things work. This is how basic Summoner Duels things work. This basic Resonant Battle. Like, you should be able to use that as a tutorial and then also give rewards to people who want to actually do it.
So, what is the thing you would like to see in Summoner Duels right now? Like, if someone gave you just carte blanche.
Oh, man. What do I want to see in Summoner Duels? I think the thing would be score changes. I would like them to make it so that I don't have to play 6 hours a day playing 20 or 30 matches before I can go to sleep at night. Like that, I think that would be the biggest thing I'd want to see changed.
I 100%. And we talked about Summoner Duels S, and I think that is like you max out at like 8 wins,
right? Which
is fantastic. Do you know I had to get 40 wins. 40. That's so much of my life.
No, I totally, I'm there with you because like it was. I don't think it was the first Summoner Duels ranked. It was the second one where I had like a really good run.
Oh my God, yeah, I was so jealous.
I like woke up at like 9 in the morning on Sunday and I didn't stop playing until like 7 or 8. I was just sitting there. And my roommate comes by and he's like, "Are you still playing that game mode?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm exhausted." He's like, "Why don't you stop playing?" I'm like, "I can't. I have to keep playing or it's gonna be gone in a couple hours."
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, it's tough. That's but just limiting that is huge. Like that is I think that is a fantastic change.
What about you? What would you change if you had anything you could?
Oh man.
It's difficult, right?
So I think the meta moves too fast. I love it. I absolutely love that. But if they kept maps a little longer, I think people could settle in more before they change them. There's that, and God, I keep on, ever since Link King 7 said it in his video that he did with Tacho, where they were like doing Aether Raids, I want the co-op mode so bad.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I want a PvE mode so much. Like, there's so much potential in this game to be like phenomenal. Not saying it's bad now. It's a good game, obviously. I play it way too much.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But there's so much potential in this game, and it's just underutilized in my opinion. There's so many game modes they could put in, systems, right? Like, why don't we have a community inside the actual game? All of our communities are through YouTube or Twitch or Discord or whatever. Why isn't there a way to like make a community in the game? Why isn't there like a guild or something? Give me something where I can communicate with people or like even share summons, something.
Yeah, it's liability.
You think so?
But I think so. But they have made steps. Like, I mean, I joked about the recordings being bad. Those are not bad. Those are amazing. Why do we not have these in Aether Raids where I can say, "Oh my God, I just did this amazing clear. Click, click, click. Here's what it looked like."
Oh yeah, like, for sure.
That is, they have defense replays. It's in the system. All they need to do is generate a code for it.
So that's why I would like, even if you can't talk in a guild, let's say, like you can't like actually interact directly, if you could just press a button and it like, hey, took a picture of my summoning screen I just took, shared it to your guild, or here's a replay. Yes. Let me just share it to my guild for a replay. That would be amazing enough. Like, just have a like button on it, like Twitter, but with no comments. Like, that would be phenomenal.
And I was on your Twitter was it? I think it was yesterday. And I just had the most insane sweaty palm match ever. And someone said, code. And you were like, click, click, click. Here it is. That was amazing.
Exactly.
Like, I get what you're saying. That should be in game. That's definitely. It can be a little mailbox in the Aether Resort.
Speaking of something underutilized, that'd be perfect because Aether Resort's like, what do you even do in there? I know some people love it. I just go in and collect my stuff and then leave pretty much. But
I've got the small human, so that's his absolute favorite is Aether Resort.
Yeah, I think they could add more stuff there though for sure. I think there's some cool like little mini games they could put in.
Oh, definitely. That's something. Spend your time on that instead of on Frontline Phalanx.
Oh my gosh, that game mode. Why does that game mode exist? Like that game mode is worse than Relay Defense, and they removed Relay Defense from the game permanently.
They did.
It's just ridiculous to me.
How do we as a community turn Summoner Duels around? Like, what can we do to help?
That is the perfect question. That is what I was going to ask you, but you got to it first. Okay, so when it comes to the community...
We're simpatico. That is... that's the deal.
When it comes to the community, I feel like there's so much you could do with Summoner Duels, and I think like Fargas... I think all of us... like we were talking in Discord, and a lot of people came up with the same idea. Like, we need to hold a tournament for this game mode because it's amazing. And Vargas was the one that got to do it. And other people have done it since. But I think that is like the number one thing we need. Have you ever played? Are you a Pokemon player? I have no idea.
I'm not. This is actually my first mobile game, believe it or not.
Okay. So I haven't played Pokemon on mobile, but like on the Game Boy games and stuff, there's a very, very healthy competitive Pokemon meta. And what happened is that the player base didn't like the way it worked in game. And so they created their own website with their own rules, their own tier list. They even created an in-game, like in web browser game mode where you could play, and it had matchmaking and everything. I don't think we need to go to that extent, right? That's a lot. But I think that if the community could do that, like if someone could take charge, I don't know who would do it. I would love to do it, but the amount of work that would require is insane. But if you could make it so that there were different tiers of play or like even like ban lists or something so that people could play in different formats kind of, right? Like, hey, I want to play in year 3 and under, but you don't get any Kanto units and there's no merges. That might be enough for someone to really love the game mode. You know what I mean? That might be take all the things out of the game mode that people hate. And I think that if the community could come together and do that, that would be massive for the game mode. I think it'd also be massive for the game. It would bring in new players and also tournaments, right? If we could host tournaments, that's so much fun. Getting to cheer for somebody on Twitch and just like, getting to watch them do these crazy plays. That's the best part in my opinion.
So there's a guy in our Discord who's really active, and I think he's looking to actually break this off onto his own channel, which I'm all for. Like the more stuff we have, the better. But he this is Riven, and he has organized a theme team tournament.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is it's so cool. And he's already working on this whole ban list and like point systems to make things fair. But it is so much fun to watch people get there. Like there's a guy who has an all leg yarn team. That's right, Gabe. If you're listening, I'm talking about you. But yeah, and he has the most invested leg yarns you have ever seen in your entire life. And that's his whole team is go out and try to win with leg yarn. And I think that is so much fun. And I hope he develops that because I would love to see more of that.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I think that would be like, at least for the first couple months, that'd be like a full-time job trying to get all that stuff together. But if it could come together, if it could come together, that would be amazing. Just having a place a community could gather and set up their own rules so that they can enjoy the game mode. Because I think the game mode itself is really, really good. It's just that people's perception of it and also the whale tendencies, right? Like it's hard to deny that whales have a massive advantage in this game mode. So being able to remove a bit of that, even just some of it, would help a ton. I think to get new people into it.
Did you ever listen to Dire Thunder YT?
I haven't recently, but I used to watch his videos back in the day a lot.
He quit Feh altogether and actually quit like doing any sort of live stream. But he was really into game developing and was a programmer himself, and it was fascinating and eye-opening one day when he was talking about when you're developing a game, the difference between challenging and hard.
Right.
And I think Summoner Duels right now skews more towards hard. It's that cost for benefit curve there. It's very, very steep. And it needs to be, they need to find a way to get the fun into it. And that's one of the things with the tournaments that you're talking about. The reason we love these is because you're putting restrictions on yourself, right? And so you're putting yourself in a position that you can use units that you really like, as opposed to the same meta team that you see 300 times in Summoner Duels. I think that would be fun.
Oh yeah, I completely agree.
If they could get that in there. But I mean, you're asking, I'm not a game developer, so it's very hard for me to say. I can sit here and say your game mode needs to be more fun, but I mean, how would you do that? Like,
right.
That's we were talking about, like, instead of rotating through, basically make it limited hero battles.
Oh, okay.
And so the seasons would include different restrictions. And that would be interesting. Like the whole, you can't use Kanto 1 week, or you can't use any duo hero. God, can you imagine how things would explode?
That would be a completely different game. That would be insane.
Oh God, my entire team would be gone.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's so interesting. So I'm not a game designer. Like, I don't actually do that for money, but I am gaming. I am designing a game with my friends, and I designed a lot of games before, like tabletops and stuff. So that stuff is super interesting to me. I love that kind of like thinking and content and design. So I really want to, Joel, why don't you do this, Joel? Now I'm thinking about it. I must spend like 10 hours trying to design something. This game mode has so much potential. I think one of the things they could do that would be really simple is just to add more options to queue in normal Summoner Duels. Like, if they could just make it so that, like, you know how, like, we have book 3 and under? Like, if they could do more kind of stuff like that, even just that would be enough to get people to play, I think.
And the problem you get into is getting enough people.
Exactly, yep.
Like, and even right now, like, I've heard complaints, but I've never had to queue for very long in just regular Summoner Duels. Like, no. I think the longest it's gone is like a minute. Most of the time I match very quickly. The more you divide it up, though, the more players you need playing it. And so it's that weird chicken and the egg thing. We don't have as many players because we don't have options, but in order to have more options, we need more players.
Right, yeah. It's difficult to establish a healthy queue, so you always have people playing. Oh man, there's just so many things to think about when it comes to this.
Yeah, and I mean, that's one of the big complaints with SDR, right? Is that it's such a limited time frame. And so if you can't play during that time frame, you're just out of luck. And the problem, of course, is if you extend the time frame, then you don't have as many people logging in. So per minute.
Right.
I think numbers wise, we had about 38,000 people who played SDR.
Okay, that's way more than I thought.
That's low. I mean,
it is. It's
Aether raids, we have about 300,000.
Yeah, it's definitely a low number, but to be honest, I was just expecting like abysmal amounts, to be honest.
It's not abysmal yet. But I mean, the problem is, I mean, there are. You look at the curve, like the people who have all the points, like it is very top heavy, and you got, you've got 11 people with the highest score, and by the time you get out of the top 100, you go from 7,300 down to 3,300, I believe.
Oh yeah,
that's 100 people. That's a huge gap.
Yeah, that just shows you though how much you have to play really to get up there. You know what I mean? Like it's ridiculous the difference. Like, I guess if you want to stay like top 1K though, it's actually pretty easy, I think.
Oh yeah, it's not hard at all. Like top 1K is very, very easy. But yeah, I don't know who would be stupid enough to play 40 matches in a weekend.
man. That actually, that happened to be almost that one weekend where I almost ran out of time. Like, I just wouldn't get queues.
Yeah.
It was like 6 or 7 minutes per queue for match. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to play anymore because no one's playing against me.
I believe that was the one that I was talking to you beforehand, and like you had it down. Like I could tell you were in the zone. You're like, this is an amazing strategy. I'm going to do a video on it. This is awesome. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm seeing it as not great. And then you go on and just explode.
I spent so much time on that. I had convinced myself. I talked to my roommate and I was like, hey, there's this new PvP mode. I'm not going to play it really. Like, and he's like, oh, really? You're not going to play it? I'm like, nah, I'm going to take a break on this one. And then he walks by the next morning. It's like 9:30 in the morning. He's like, have you slept yet? I'm like, nope. I've been up all night studying Summoner Duels. Oh, man.
Yeah, that's the life of a hardcore gamer. And I know, like next time you're going to be like, no, I'm getting up into that 7,300. Like this is,
man.
I'm getting there, period.
I hope we get a break. I hope it's not 2 weeks. I hope it's like a month at least.
Oh, it'll definitely be a month.
Okay.
Like that's the SDR cycle. So you've got a little bit of time, a breather. I certainly need a breather. I can't do that again at any time this month.
Yeah, I feel it. So before we're getting, I think we've been going for pretty while. So let's get to it. But there's one thing I do want to bring up is Summoner Duels S, and I wanted to do a video on Summoner Duels S where I was gonna have a video where the title was "How far can I get in Summoner Duels S by stealing FEH strategies?" That was gonna be the video. I was like, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be amazing. Everybody's gonna love this. And so I built it right. Start building other people's team. I built your team. I built like Levin's team, somebody else's team. And then every single match, they just banned everything except for your team. So every single match, I just played with the Dimitri, like, Ascended Idunn team. And I was like, oh, man.
Nice.
I'm like, what's the video going to be? How I stole Joel's strategy and got rank 1.
Hey, that just goes to show you that of all the other FEH, I'm the least meta-slavey.
Oh my gosh. That was an interesting thing. I was sitting there like, do I do this? I'm like, I don't think I do. I think I'll just pass it this time.
That's so disappointing because that is such a good idea for a video.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what happened, but everybody was like, nah, I'm just banning everything else. I'm like, why? Like, I even put out like a fake team. I'm like, okay, this is my fake team to bait people. Didn't work at all. Not even the slightest.
Oh man. I still think you can do that. That is an amazing idea. Like, I wonder if you could just do that in regular Summoner Duels and just play with other teams. Like, I stole every FEH's strategy and then go off and that's such a good idea for a video.
I might do it still, maybe. Maybe we'll try to put one together with that. Okay, so before we come to a close, is there anything else you would like to discuss? Any key points maybe we missed out on talking about?
Oh man, we talked about so much. I mean, the biggest thing is, guys, Aether raids sucked when it first started. Oh. Like, in the same way that this sucked. I'm not saying it wasn't fun for hardcore gamers, but it was hard. No ladders, no nothing. And we grew into it. Like, give IS a chance to make this game mode good, because I think they can, because it has so much potential. So just don't give up on it yet. That's the biggest thing.
That's amazing advice. I think that's the best thing that we could end on right now, because this game mode does have a lot of potential. You just don't hate it so much, please. Just a little bit. Just give it a chance. Just give it a little bit of a chance. It'll get there. I think it will definitely get there where people are actually enjoying it. I'm not sure what they're gonna have to do. For Aether raids, they had to get those powerful mythics out that could kind of tame the meta down a bit. So maybe they'll do something similar, but I kind of hope not. I hope they can find a different way that's more less unit based and more like captain skill focused or map focused, so that everyone's on the equal playing field.
And God, that is the balance, right? You want to still make it hard, but you want to make it fun as well.
Exactly. Okay. Well, this has been the 6th episode of the Feh Report. with our very special guest Joel, the #1 player in the world in Summoner Duels ranked. It's been an honor. Okay, never thought I'd get to share a podcast with you, but if you enjoyed the video, please drop a like, subscribe, and also drop a subscribe over on Fehology's channel. They just hit 2K, and the content over there is amazing. I watch every single video pretty much the second it comes up.
I thank you so much. And guys, I cannot tell you how much work Oblivion puts in on his videos, because I know how much work these kind of things take. They are so well put together. If you're not subscribed, go hit that button. Go hit the like, give him a comment. YouTube already is liking him a lot, so let's keep that momentum going for him.
Thank you so much, Joel. So make sure you drop a comment. I want to hear people's, just for the sake of the YouTube algorithm, but more importantly, I want to hear people's opinions on Summoner Duels. Right? I think that's the most fun part of YouTube for me, is getting to go through all the comments. I try to reply to everyone I can. I want to hear your opinion. So make sure to drop a comment down below letting me know what you think of our discussion and Summoner Duels S and Summoner Duels Ranked, and if you think it has the potential to become a great game mode, just like Ether Raids was. Or is. Ether Raids is.
Ooh, slip of the tongue.
Okay. This has been Oblivion, and I'll catch you all later with more Problem Heroes. Bye.